Welcome to episode... starting it again.
Huh?
3, 2, 1. Welcome to episode 7 of My First Car Podcast. Our guest today, Bob Claggett of ILikeToMakeStuff.com. He's got a podcast, or he's got podcasts. He's right. Yep. I think he's got more than one. He's got a book, and he's got a YouTube channel. Lots of interesting stuff that Bob is working on. If you guys are interested in any of that stuff, check out ILikeToMakeStuff.com. He will come on later in the show. Before we get to that, though, I need to talk about my trip to Portugal, Jeff.
Because you've been gone what feels like 3 years.
It feels like forever. I was gone for about 2 weeks, but it feels like a long, long time. It feels even longer when I'm actually there and I have nothing to do. And I'm like looking at my watch like, okay, so I leave in 8 days? All right.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you very much. I love Portugal. And I have family there, and that's the main reason I go back. I try to go back every single year, and so every time I go back, it's nothing special, you know? Like, I've been there so many times. I've seen a lot of things that there is to see, especially in the area that I stay at. So I end up just trying to kill time. I really should go for a shorter amount of time, but then people make me feel guilty. They're like, why are you going to pay for a ticket and then only go for like 7 days? However, the car is there. First of all, every year I go back, and every year I'm amazed at the vehicles that they have there. Let's just start with the fact that they are not very powerful vehicles. So I'm not looking at this from a perspective of, oh man, they got some monsters over there, some real horse-powered freaks. They don't. In fact, no. I would say 90% of their vehicles are really underpowered.
Portugal isn't known for their Lamborghinis?
No, actually, I didn't see a single Lamborghini. I also didn't see a single police officer while I was there, which is interesting.
That's kind of concerning.
Yeah, it's a free roaming country. It's the old west out there. So here's the thing with Portugal. I learned this I learned this before too, but I got more information this last year. There are taxes you have to pay on the vehicle you purchase. And the bigger the engine size, the bigger the taxes.
What?
Yeah. So
seriously?
This leads people to purchase not only 4-cylinder engines, by the way, I would say that 75% of the cars there are diesel powered, maybe even more, maybe even a higher percentage are diesel powered. And I would say that 80% of them there are all manual. Not automatic. In fact, you ask somebody to drive automatic and they'll look at you like, what? How do you drive automatic? That's weird. I don't think I'm able to drive automatic. It's like, really? You put it in drive and you push the gas pedal. But
you put it in D.
That's right. You put it in D. So yeah, all the vehicles there are super, super underpowered because of these taxes. So people end up buying, it's not even based on cylinders. It's based on like the CCs. So the lower it is, the better. If you get something under, now don't quote me on this because I can't remember the exact figures, but I think it's something under 1.5 liters, you pay 170-ish euros a year, which is not bad, obviously. 170-ish euros a year is not bad. However, I know a guy who has a Mercedes SUV, and I think it's like a 4-liter vehicle. I'm going to get these numbers wrong. Maybe even less. I think it's a G. It's not a G-Wagon. It's definitely not a G-Wagon. It's is it a 390? So it'll be a 3. Yeah, it's like 4 liters, roughly 4-liter vehicle. He pays 800 euros, I believe, a year.
Oh man.
So that's a huge difference.
What is that in freedom dollars and Canadian?
I would say like $1,300 a year, and it's just taxes. Like it's not even. We're not talking. This isn't insurance. This isn't like registration. It's just like a tax on your vehicle size. It might actually be registration, like in lieu of registration, you pay this thing. But honestly, that is ridiculous. Can you imagine if we had that here? Like, there's no.
Well, first of all, I think the United States would burn in fire because they wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah,
but
no kidding.
Is it because of like fuel or
I think so.
emissions?
I think it's the emissions. They're trying to crack down on emissions. That's the only reason I can see for it, really.
Yeah.
And like I said, everything there is diesel. Like it's such a different. I don't understand how we can be so different. I'm not saying one place is more right than the other. I'm just saying, how can it be it's like a whole other world there, automotively speaking. In Europe, probably not just in Portugal, in Europe compared to North America.
Yeah, most of Europe, like Italy and all these countries, first of all, I think commutes are a foreign thing to most of those people. Most people in Europe, commutes aren't a big thing, right?
Yeah,
so
probably
you
not.
Want a small diesel car?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
There's a lot of in Portugal. You still see. I don't know if this is. I'm only going to speak about Portugal because I can't be sure about other European countries. But you see a lot of tiny. I'm not like tiny vehicles, but I'm talking like 4 foot long vehicles, Jeff. I'm not talking like
so smaller than my car.
Yeah, no, I'm not exaggerating. 4 feet long, where you can only fit a person inside, and I believe you don't even need an actual license to drive these things on the street because they look like little toy cars.
Wow.
At least you didn't before. I don't know if you do now, but I still see a couple of those. I used to see a lot of those a few years ago. Now I still see a couple of those on the street. And it's usually old people driving them. Like they don't have their license, or maybe they don't want to get their license, so they get one of these things and they just drive that little vehicle back and forth. I also see a lot of, and I'm super happy about this because I love this vehicle, wagons. So many wagons in Portugal. My goodness, it's almost like every other car is a wagon. And here, when's the last time you saw like a sweet looking? They have BMW wagons, Peugeot wagons, Renault wagons, everything, every type of wagon, you name it, they have it. And I don't see any wagons here, honestly. I saw a Volvo wagon the other day. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
So I was really happy to see all those wagons over there because I'm a wagon kind of guy. My dad is actually looking for a car to buy in Portugal because he's going to retire next year, so he's going to be spending more time there. So he's going to buy a vehicle, and he's thinking about getting a wagon, and I'm super excited about that.
Now, what family are your grandparents still in Portugal, or who's still?
My
in Portugal?
grandmother and 2 uncles.
Okay, what do they drive there?
My grandmother doesn't drive. My uncle, what is he driving these days? I believe. Well, last I saw, he doesn't have it anymore. He's got something newer now, but it's nothing spectacular. But the car that he had before that he sold was like an old 90s Mercedes diesel 4-door sedan, and he kept it in pretty good shape. And that's another thing, too. Cars there last forever.
Yeah.
There's no salt. So if you're keeping it maintained, you can have a car for ages. Actually, my dad's uncle, he showed us his Mercedes. This thing looked absolutely mint, like perfect, and it was late 80s Mercedes, I think, in a brownish color. The leather looked fantastic. Well, he takes really good care of it too, but he popped the hood. That thing looked like it just rolled off the showroom. Gorgeous car. And everybody's people who have old cars there, the cars are always in great shape. I don't know how like the taxes work for things like that, though. That's the problem.
Like, is it a lifetime? That tax thing is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work. There's not a whole lot of classics there. I posted some pictures of some of the cars, the more interesting cars that I saw on my my Instagram. If you're interested, it's what is it? Vintage Beefy T? Yeah, Vintage Beef YT on Instagram.
I've never read it like that.
I know. It's Vintage Beefy T.
You just ruined all of your stuff now because that's all I'm going to think of is Vintage Beefy T.
So the first one I saw was a Citroen 2CV6. I believe it was the V6 version of the Citroen 2CV. That was really cool. It was like a convertible top, sort of. It was a soft top, but it was more like a Targa top on this thing. And there was an old man driving that on the streets. That was kind of awesome. I believe it was. I can't even tell you the year of it. Maybe let me look it up. Might have been like an 80s 2CV.
Really? It looks older than an 80s, but
I know, but I think they made them for a long time. 2CV6. Does that exist?
So you get the links to Vintage Beefy T's Instagram will be down below if you guys are interested. He's got some cool photos here from Portugal. These cars and this little blue 2CV6 thing is cool.
Yeah, it was an 80. It was an 82.
Oh, really?
So the funny thing about European license plates, I think all of them, if they're relatively new license plates, you can tell the year of the car. If you see like the little yellow corner, the top part is the year the car was made, and the bottom part is the month, I believe.
So judging by this picture,
8206 it looks like.
I see W206.
It's blurry. Yeah, Instagram is not exactly the best. But it wasn't 82 because I just looked it up. There's actually one for sale in Canada here.
Ooh.
Is it BC?
Yeah, that's a cool car.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about going to Europe. You don't see any of the Citroens or the Renaults or anything like that here. And those are really interesting cars.
Yeah, you don't see anything like that. And then there's on the beach there was this Land Rover. I don't remember what kind of Land Rover it was. I was looking it up earlier. It might be a Series 2 or a Series 3. It might even be an older Defender. I don't know. I can't really tell.
We'll leave that to Slip in the comments.
Slip?
Wherever. Yeah. He'll get it, right?
Sure. Slip knows all.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love this thing, and it belonged to a local surf shop, so they would like usher people to the beach and back and load the boards on top of it. But it was such a cool looking car, and it would be driving around all day, and I'd be seeing it all the time, and it just made me want one really, really bad. So I took a picture of that. Man, I really love that thing. I want one. Yeah. I also saw. Now I thought this was a cool looking car, and then people started telling me it was actually really weak. Not the best vehicle. I saw a Peugeot RCZ, which
it looks amazing.
It does look like a cool car, doesn't it?
Yeah, almost like an older Audi TT style body.
Yeah, or the was it the Mitsubishi Eclipse that they had that was kind of shaped like that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look that up just to make sure. Mitsubishi Eclipse,
2-door.
Yeah. It's definitely it looked really, really cool, but then people started telling me that they're not really great vehicles. They have like yeah, it was the older Mitsubishi Eclipse that was shaped like that. They don't really have
the comments on that
power.
picture are all negative.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they stink. Yeah, so that was kind of
car
cool.
though.
It's just cars you don't see here. And then you saw some American muscle just around the block from where I was, and that was a nice sight to see. It was a Camaro, I believe. That's hard to tell, really, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. There was zero badging on the car, so it was hard to tell, but I believe it's a Chevy Camaro.
Man, that license plate, like, could you? Our license plates here change. Like, you see different letters and numbers and things all the time. This is literally DO9663.
Yeah. Well, that's an older license plate. The older ones are like that, like they're black with the white, and those letters are 3D too. Those are like pop out letters, like they look.
Really?
Yeah, they're not like painted on. They're like plastic and like molded onto the thing. But the newer license plates are all the same, and they give you like the year of the vehicle. So lots of cool stuff there in Portugal. It's weird. The car culture there, I didn't get to experience much of it, but there doesn't seem to be any. Like, it's, at least speaking with my cousins and stuff, they don't really. I don't get the impression they're very interested in cars. I think they see them more as just transportation, and I guess that's evidenced in the cars that they buy with like these low-powered diesel vehicles.
Well, yeah. If the government's limiting you by that tax, then
yeah,
you're not gonna go out and buy anything ridiculous.
I wonder how that works with older cars, though, if there's like a classics market. I did see a couple of... Now, I was going there with the intention of checking out some Datsun 1200s to get some parts. I never ended up doing that. But I did see one, a 4-door, not far from where I was staying. And that looked like it was in impeccable shape.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. The cars there just last forever. Why would I live here in this country where cars just corrode? Well, I can go live in a different country where I can have cars for the longest time.
Yeah, I don't know. Looks like there's multiple taxes there for these cars. I just did a quick googly goog.
Let me see. Portugal Car Tax.
An ISV and IUC tax?
There's a lot of taxes.
2 taxes. ISV paid when a license plate is delivered, and IUC paid annually for possessing a vehicle.
That's the one. The one paid annually.
Yeah.
Vehicle city tax. There's a whole lot of taxes. I mean, it's nothing different. Everybody's going, governments around. Am I right? Am I right?
It says it's a tax for life. Yeah, you can't. Oof.
I don't think you can get away from it.
No.
I wish I could find the... here we go. In general, ISV lets us be one of the leading countries in low car CO2 emissions. I think that's what it's for. Evidently, we have an underpowered car fleet. Cars with between 1 liter and 1.6 liters of engine displacement represent the major share of cars sold. Yeah, of course. Yeah, because they're like the cheaper ones. So everybody buys between 1 liter and 1.6 liters. Like 1.6 liters, it's hard to even find a car here with 1.6 liters.
I think mine's smaller than that.
Smaller than 1.6 liters. Okay, what car am I looking up for yours?
Hold on, I'll do it. You should talk about something else.
You're just embarrassed now.
It's such a piece of junk. It's probably actually. I think it's a 1.4.
Really? Well, either way,
it's funny. I've never had anything lower than a 2.2, and if I had a 2 liter, like my Talon was a 2 liter turbo. I don't know. It's garbage. Whatever it is. I'd be paying no tax in Portugal.
Okay, so here we go. I found something here. They have an example here. So it's €1 per cc. Okay.
Okay.
Up to 1.25 liters.
Okay.
So, for example, 1200 cc engine, you'll pay €1,200 minus 740 because of something. I'm not sure why they subtract the 740. So you'll be paying £457 in taxes. I don't think that's the right one still. I still don't think that's the right one.
So a 1200 cc engine's like a 1.2 liter engine.
Exactly. I think. Yeah. 1.2, yeah. And then the higher it gets, the more you pay. So more than 1.2, I could be getting this all wrong, but more 0.12 liters, you pay €470 per cc.
Wow.
Yeah.
So no wonder you saw that Peugeot that looks cool, but has no power, because no one wants they want the car that looks cool, but they don't want the engine.
Exactly. And it seems to be a running theme there in Portugal. All the cars look really cool, but they're all like under 2 liter engines. My dad went to see a nice BMW wagon. Looked awesome. I'm like, wow, this thing must be a beast. It's like 1.8 liters. It's diesel. Like, I don't understand. How do these people live this way?
What's the electric car market like there?
I don't think I saw a single electric car.
I wonder.
Come to think of it, I don't think I even saw electric car charging stations anywhere either.
Were you? I don't know where you were in Portugal. Were you?
I wasn't in a big city. No. Okay, I was like in a little beach town. So that might have had something to do with it. I didn't spend much time in the city in Lisbon. Did I say lesbian? That's an interesting name.
Censor that out.
In Lisbon, I didn't spend much time there.
It looks like Tesla launched in Portugal in 2017.
Oh, so they're really new.
Yeah, probably like downtown. Yeah.
Oh, there's an article here that says Portugal will soon be fully covered by electric car charging stations.
And I guess you wouldn't have to pay that tax then.
Probably not. I bet it's free. Yeah. I bet it's free if you own an electric car.
Has to be.
That's like another incentive.
Yeah, don't talk to Ontarians about incentives because we're just scrapping them.
Yeah. Scrapping all our incentives.
Yeah, speaking of Tesla, Tesla's suing the government of Ontario right now.
Why?
Because the new leadership in Doug Ford is scrapping all the electric car incentives. Like if you bought a Tesla today, you would get back from the government like $5,000.
Okay.
As an incentive, as a tax incentive to buy electric cars.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to do that anymore, so they're scrapping it.
Okay, so here's the other side of the coin, Elon Musk. If you're so mad about that, how about you actually start delivering vehicles and forget about suing Ontario governments for things like that? Yeah, that's a big burn. Because my buddy, he put down a down payment on his Tesla, and he never ended up getting it, and he just got his refund back, and he's like, forget it. You know, it was supposed to be delivered, I think, it was like 2017. Then it was like, oh, it'll be delivered 2018. And then they said, oh, 2019. And now he's just like, he gave up on it. So instead of suing us, Elon Musk, you deliver the cars you promised. I know he's going through a tough time.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's on crack or something. We're not going to...
Really? You know more about Elon than I do.
Man, okay, just as a weird... You have the same kind of phone as I do, the Android phone. Mm-hmm. You swipe left, you get the Google Now stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. And like every now and then it just shows me, like right now, Tesla shares stumble as Musk newspaper he's crack under stress. Elon Musk high on something during tweets. Like it's...
What?
My Google, my Google Now cards are just like TMZ now.
I think that has to do with what you search for too, because mine have none of those things. I have Fortnite game launcher.
I got lots of that too. Yeah.
Nearby places. I have spill your guts or fill your guts with Kris Jenner on YouTube.
Yeah, you should check that out.
Then we got Rick Gates flips on Paul Manafort.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of Trump stuff apparently too. Anyways, there's a whole section about Elon Musk and what he's doing with the company.
Well, you got to keep us up to date. You're like our Elon Musk go-to guy now.
Yeah, come on over for My First Car / Elon Musk news station.
Have you ever been to, other than your travels overseas for your duties, have you ever been to like a different country to like check out just on a vacation stuff?
Vacation in the U.S. Honeymoon. There's no cars where I went.
Where'd you go?
Well, there's cars, but nothing special. We went to St. Lucia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just an island. Like we took a bus from the airport to the place.
I bet it was a sweet bus. How many horses did it have?
Woof. We just wanted to throw up because it's just windy roads the whole way from the airport to the hotel. That sounds like
fun.
It's horrible. Anyways, Cambodia. Cambodia doesn't have a big car market.
Probably not.
It seems. I've actually been to Dubai, so spent about 4 hours in Dubai.
I guess that's enough to take in the car scene in Dubai.
Actually, you know, in 4 hours, we were able to go to this gold mall, buy some jewelry for my fiance at the time, now wife. Mm-hmm. Saw Mary-Kate or Ashley Olsen.
This is amazing. This story keeps getting better. Go on.
Okay, yeah, well, we were shopping for gold, and we see what looks like one of the Olsen twins. They're pretty like hard to miss.
Yes.
She looked pretty horrible. This was in 2008.
Okay.
So, wow, 10 years ago. Yeah, so we saw her, went off to the big mall with the ski hill. Mm-hmm. The indoor ski hill. And we saw her again there, and she actually waved at us because we'd like stared at her twice now.
Were you guys in uniform?
No, we were just walking around. But we stand out because we're three white dudes from Canada.
Yeah.
Walking around.
Staring
at the cars there. Basically, other than like taxi cabs, all the cars seem to be Mercedes and luxury cars, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I recommend going there. And do you follow Supercar Blondie on Instagram or YouTube?
I do not. I know of her though. Yeah, for sure.
I check her out. She lives in Dubai, so she every single day is something like that. And she actually owns a Volkswagen and a Lamborghini.
Wow. Okay, so 2 Volkswagens.
Yeah, but it's a cool place to visit, especially for the car culture because it's huge there. Like everyone has some sort of luxury sports car there.
I found so the cars in Portugal, there was a lot of, obviously they're all underpowered, but they're all very like luxurious vehicles too.
Yeah.
Like you see a lot of Mercedes, you see a lot of BMWs. I know years ago, I didn't get to see very many cabs this year, but a couple years ago, I went there and all the cabs were Mercedes-Benzes, all of them.
Really?
So I always thought it was kind of interesting dynamic there. And then you always talk about people always talk about how Portugal is like doing so poorly and like everybody, people are their unemployment rate, but you see people driving around these cars. Like, so what is happening here?
Interesting.
I don't know what's going on. I have no idea how these people are affording all these cars if they're going through such a tough time. Oh, I will talk about totally not car related, by the way, but I will talk about one thing in Portugal that really grinded my gears. There you go. I'm bringing cars into this. Gears.
Dan's rants. Here we go.
The service industry there is the absolute worst I've ever experienced in my life. Everybody has a terrible attitude. Like, they don't want to help you. Like, you're the last person that they want to talk to. And I wasn't there long enough to really take it all in, but I believe the problem right now is that the service industry gets paid really, really poorly. And so people are probably pretty upset at their jobs. However, that is not a way to increase your pay. Like, it just made me not want to even go. If I, honestly, just because of the service alone, I would probably not go to Portugal if it was like another vacation. I would choose a different country because it was just unpleasant to like go shopping. It was just people with like mean looking faces constantly.
So like retail and restaurants and stuff?
Yeah. Restaurants, I shouldn't say. The restaurants were okay. We went to a couple of restaurants. They actually were pretty decent. It's mostly like retail stuff. Like, you ask people things and they're like, ugh. Sort of like, oh, I got to help you. Ugh. That sort of thing. Very... I wouldn't say rude, but like they don't care. So if you ask them a question, they'll just answer you very monotone. Like, probably won't even make eye contact most of the time. Will give you like the bare minimum information. Like, I think I asked somebody for something once, and they were like, "Oh no, we don't have that here." Okay, how about a little more help? Do you think you know where I could get it, or do you have something similar, or why not, or I don't know, something. It's just like very matter of fact, to the point, and not very pleasant. And so, service people of Portugal. I'm gonna get like hate messages now. Oh, I work in Portugal in the service industry, and we're having a tough time. I realize this, but that's just not the way to treat people.
You're not speaking in English when you're there, right?
No, Portuguese. No. I can speak Portuguese.
Okay.
I'm totally speaking Portuguese to these people, and they have no idea what's going on.
So it's not the foreigner thing.
No, it's not the foreigner thing. Like, I went to get some. My family has like a little. It's sort of like a. Do you know the Rogers Rocket Stick? It's basically a portable internet, mobile internet. Yeah. So as long as it's charged up, you have Wi-Fi wherever you go. So they have one of these things, and every time we go, we have to get it like a new SIM card for it. Okay. And we go to the teller. There was only one lady working at this store. Nobody else in the store. It's just her. She's just sitting behind the desk, looking bored and unpleasant. So we go to her, and I give her the little thing. I'm like, okay, I need to recharge this. And she looks at me and she goes, "What's the number?" And I'm lost. I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure what number you're talking about. I only come here once a year. I just need internet for a few weeks, and I need to recharge this thing with my internet. Whatever I guess it's like it's almost like filling up your. It's like pay as you go, pretty much. Yeah. You pay like a certain amount, and then you have a certain amount of gigs to use. And so she's like, I need the number. And she wouldn't explain what the number was, and she wouldn't explain to me where I could get it. I'm like, well, where is it? Is it in here? And I'm like taking off the cover off, and she's like, no, I just need the SIM card number. And I'm like, well, I don't have a SIM card. And then she finally explained, well, then you have to buy a new SIM card and charge the new SIM card. Like, these people, she could have done that from the beginning. I'm not explaining it properly. Probably.
No, I get it.
But it was very, very frustrating.
Typical Portuguese.
No, not typical. People are pretty pleasant
I live in a town
otherwise.
Full of Portuguese people.
Yeah, exactly. Other than the people like serving you, they're usually pretty pleasant. And then they have like 2-hour lunches too. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Now, I did a quick search, and apparently in 2016, the highest sold car in Portugal was the Renault Clio. Okay. It's funny. Like all the cars are little hatchbacks.
Yeah, exactly.
So Renault Clio, Peugeot 208, and then the Renault Megane, Megane.
The Renault Megane, yeah.
Megane, and then Volkswagen Golf.
Yeah, all hatchbacks. Well, the Megane also makes a wagon, and I think the Golf makes a wagon too there, or Volkswagen makes a Golf wagon there. which they do not sell, obviously, in North America.
No. So they're all and the Nissan Qashqai.
Well, they're selling
That's
that one
here
in
now.
Canada too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And
not a
at the
fan.
number 10 on the list is actually the Mercedes-Benz A-Class.
The A-Class, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see a lot of those actually. They're the little tiny ones.
Yeah.
They're kind of like
Interesting.
mini buses. They look like.
So you're saying that there's not going to be a Fast and the Furious Portuguese edition?
It'll be like the Slow and the Angry. Fast and Furious Portugal, Slow and Angry.
I'd like to see that.
That would be interesting, for
Yeah.
sure. So yeah, that was my car related stuff, not so car related stuff about Portugal. Other than that, though, I had a great time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I really did. Don't let that overshadow. Don't let the service stuff overshadow everything else. It was fun. Well, weather was not great, but it was like low 20s the whole time I was there. Rained a couple times, but most of the time it was sunny in the afternoons, kind of cloudy in the mornings. But that's kind of the kind of weather I like. I don't like it to be scorching hot.
Yeah.
Did a lot of walking around, a lot of checking out the local cars. You thought I was going to go somewhere else, huh?
Nope.
When I said
Nope.
checking out. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I know. I saw that
No,
look. I saw that twinkle in your eye.
Oh, what? What?
Oh, you didn't realize you're on webcam right now. Yeah, it was a good time. I'll definitely go back again next year, only to see my family, not because of how I was treated. And on that note, let's treat Bob with the utmost respect. Really, really good talk coming up. Hope you guys enjoy it.
He's got some cool cars.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Our guest today is Bob Claggett. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay, good. Whew, I was worried about. I probably should have asked you this before we started recording. But Bob Claggett is from ILikeToMakeStuff.com. You've got a YouTube channel. You've got podcasts. You're a man of many, many things. And this website, man, you guys should check it out if you're interested in making stuff. He likes to make it.
I do. I really do.
He literally wrote the book on it.
That's right. He's got a book too. He wrote the book on making stuff.
Yeah, I wrote a book. I don't know if it's the book about making stuff, but it's actually less about making stuff and more just about the last few years of my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Making Time, available on a bookstore, Kindle. Get it on Kindle. That's what I use for all my books now. Who buys books nowadays? Do you guys actually buy books? Aside? This is an aside. We're not talking about cars now. We're talking about books.
I don't, but I actually sell quite a few print books, which
do
is
you?
Really?
surprising. Yeah. I don't know why. I mean, it's available in audio and digital, and we still sell a lot of print.
I have not bought a print book in a while. It's all digital for me these days.
Yeah. Audiobook for me. It just makes the most sense.
Yeah, same here.
Mm-hmm.
So Bob, this podcast is called My First Car. So we're going to talk about cars now. Hopefully you're excited about it.
I am, yeah.
So our first question that we ask all our guests, we would like you to go through your car history with us after your first car. So leave out the first car. Let's start with the second car, or you can start from your most recent car leading down. It's up to you. And we were really interested in knowing what people have owned throughout their driving history.
Okay, I'll start at number 2 because I think it gets a little more interesting
As it goes on. Okay.
Yeah, the other direction. So after I got rid of my first car, I didn't have a ton of money, so I decided to lease something. So I was trying to find something economical and something I could afford at the time. This is like post-college, right out of college. And so I leased a Ford Focus, a 4-door.
Ooh.
And is that a good ooh or a bad ooh?
my first car was a Ford Focus, actually, a black one. It was 2-door. It was a ZX3. What year was yours?
I honestly don't remember. That probably would have been 2000.
Nailed it.
I think. Yeah.
What color was it?
It was blue.
Oh, mine was black. All right.
I went in for a silver, and I really wanted a silver, and they didn't have the silver, so I got blue. And it was a lease, so it was like, well, a couple of years, no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that for a little while. It was a lease, so I kept it in really good shape until I went on my honeymoon. And we stayed at this cabin, and I backed up trying to back out of this place, and I ran into a stack of firewood that I didn't know was there.
Who put that?
Totally.
Who put that firewood there?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the woods. And
Who'd have thunk it?
yeah, and so I scratched up. Yeah, anyway, whatever. So after that lease was up, went back to I was newly married, and so we were going to get another car. Ended up buying another Focus when we traded that one in, but we got the 4-door wagon. It wasn't the wagon. It was like the
hatch sort of thing.
Zx5. Yeah, it was like a hatch.
The Zx5. Yeah. I had the Zx3, so yeah, it would have just been the extra 2 doors.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I had that thing forever. It was that was a really good car and pretty fast for what it was. So I had that one for a really long time, and then and my wife and I shared that car for a really long time. And then eventually, the company that I owned at the time, we were like doing pretty well. So we decided like, hey, we should lease some cars, through the company, pay for it that way. So my business partner was really into like low cars. So he ended up getting like an Acura something or other. And I got an Xterra, and it was the Xterra like when they first made the body change from the original Xterra into the one that's, I think it's still current, but it was when they did that body change. And so I got the first year of that, and then we leased it for a couple of years, and then I ended up buying out the lease and paying off the rest of the car.
Because you loved it so much?
And I did. I really liked that one.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the first Xterras were pretty cheap and pretty plasticky. The second one was, I guess, probably not that much better, but it was better. And so I really liked it. And we had that thing for several years. We still had the Focus, but we had 2 kids, and then found out we were pregnant with the 3rd kid. And I was back there in the back of the Xterra going, how in the world do I have 3 car seats back here?
Minivan.
It's coming.
So that I can keep this thing. And it didn't make sense to get rid of the Focus because it was like, it's just so cheap. It was paid off. So we ended up trading in the Xterra towards a Honda Odyssey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Used Odyssey, which I gotta say, people can bag on minivans all they want to, but until you actually get a minivan and you find out how useful it is, like, you don't really know, because they're pretty awesome. And they don't look cool, but they're pretty awesome.
I've had one minivan in my, like, we only got it because we had kids, and there's so much space, and for driving, like, we drive long distances, and it makes so much sense. Camping or anything like that.
Yeah.
What drives me nuts is like the people who, like, I knew, well, I won't mention any specifics, but there was somebody I know, and they had 1 kid, and they're like, well, it's time for a minivan now. I'm like, no, you don't need, you have one. And then they have, like, I know another couple, they had their 2nd child, and they're like, it's time for a minivan now. No, you're still good with 2 kids and a sedan. You can still do it. I mean, if you have a 3rd, then I can see when that starts getting a little bit tricky.
Yeah, and then we ended up having a 4th, and so now
you bought a bus.
Now we still got the Odyssey, actually.
Oh, okay, that's good.
But it is full, man. Like every time we take a trip, it is packed to the gills with people and stuff, and yeah.
Are you still doing car seats, or are they? They're all a little older already.
I've got 2 in boosters, so no more car seats, but 2 in normal seats and 2 in boosters. So
that helps a little bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
At least you can get like 3 kids to a row.
Yeah, and we can bring extra people with us, and maybe fit 2 extra people in the car, really pack it in,
and use.
But so we still got the minivan, and then a couple of years ago, we had some friends that were looking. I wanted something that I could carry some lumber in for work.
That just sounds so rugged and masculine. I need something I can carry some lumber in.
Well, it's like, you can only go to Home Depot and stack plywood on top of a Ford Focus so many times before it's like, it's kind of a problem. Although I will say, one time I took the Focus to Home Depot and I was pouring concrete for something, and I had to get 10 80-pound bags of concrete. And I put them in, and I put them in the trunk of the Focus, and it drove just fine.
Wow. That is
it was low.
Good.
It was low, but
that's
it worked.
how all the kids love them anyway.
That's right. I looked really cool finally,
Sorry, that brings up a question, Bob. Did you ever modify any of these cars, or did you do any tuning or anything like that? Were you into that?
I was always interested in it, but I never actually did anything to those. I was tempted with the Focus, but I just really didn't have the money.
Yeah.
At the time, and it was one of those things. It was like, well, I can put just a little bit of money into this, and it's not really going to do anything. So at that point, it's like vanity. It's like, you're just like trying to make it look cool and not actually improving the performance or anything. So yeah, I kind of steered clear of really doing anything to any of those vehicles. But then we sold the Focus to some friends who wanted a small car so that I could get something bigger. And I was on the beach in St. Augustine, Florida. And we'd been thinking about getting a new car. And so I walk out onto the beach, and I've always loved Defenders, a Land Rover Defender.
Oh, yes. Now you're speaking
like
my language.
The 110s, the long ones.
Okay.
And so I walk out onto the beach, and there's a solid white 110 with a giant rack on the top, with like the bench seats in the back of it, had a ladder
so
going
cool.
up the back, had cans. It was awesome. And so I immediately called my friend who's big into Jeeps and all sorts of four-wheel drive things in Richmond. And so I was like, man, I'm looking at this truck, and I told him all what it was. I was like, talk me out of this, because I want to find this thing right here. And so it took him about 2 minutes to talk me out of it. He was like, I've had that, and it has this problem, and you can't find the parts, and it's expensive, and it this, and it, and I was like, oh,
What
okay.
a horrible friend.
No, he's a good friend, because
I would have totally bought that Defender. Those things are so cool.
they are so cool, and I still would like to get one someday. But in that same conversation, he said, actually, what you want is a Land Cruiser.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, tell me more. I know of them, but I don't know a lot about them. And so he starts telling me, like, you know, I was in Africa, and I drove this Land Cruiser across this place to this place, and it never broke down, and you can fix it on the side of the road with wrenches and, you know, all these things. Toyota, you can get the parts cheaply, lasts forever. So I'm like, all right, well, put your feelers out, find me a Land Cruiser, and I'll come take a look at it. So a couple days later, he calls, and a buddy of his who owned a 4x4 shop, who rebuilds Jeeps like from the ground up, and all sorts of, you know, Land Cruisers and Rovers and everything. He said, this guy's got a daily driver. It's an FJ80, so it was only made for like 2 years, and he wants like $7,000 for it. It's in great shape. It's got 200,000 miles, which is nothing for a Land Cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
So we drove to Richmond, and I drove it around for maybe 10 minutes, and I was like, I'll take it. It's awesome. And
Those things are so cool. They're practically bulletproof.
yeah, and so that's what I've got now, and I've been driving it for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. I guess coming up on 3 years.
Sweet.
And that's where the modifications have started.
Aha, I was just going to ask you, what'd you do to that?
So first thing I did, it already had a 3-inch lift and some bigger tires on it
Sweet.
when I got it. And so, you know, this guy had taken really good care of it and done a little bit of stuff, but it was his daily driver. So I added a snorkel, which was terrifying because I had to cut a 4-inch hole in the side of a vehicle.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I did that. Let's see, what else I do? I added a horn, and these are all videos in case you want to see them, but I added a custom horn. So there's a little control panel in the dash where I can press buttons, and any sound effect that I want will play really loudly outside the car.
That's amazing.
So I have like the Knight Rider theme and
Oh, yeah.
Transformer sound effects and stuff like that. And then let's see, I cut open the tailgate and put in some like storage inside the tailgate. And then
nice.
just this last week, I actually added a roof rack to the top of it that'll allow me to carry plywood. So I can finally go to the store and get plywood. It's
can
like
finally get
3
your
years
plywood.
later. Yeah.
And you can see that on your YouTube channel. I know I saw that one yesterday.
Yeah. Yep.
What
That's cool.
what color's the Land Cruiser?
It's white, which would not have been my first pick.
Really? I like
At
the
all.
white vehicles.
What would you have picked?
My favorite color is gray. Which
Your
sounds
favorite
awful.
color is gray?
His favorite
Yeah.
shade is gray.
It's the color black, you know, at 50% or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I really like a gunmetal or a silver, like a dark silver, something like that.
I like white.
So that's probably
white
what
looks
I
pretty
picked.
good. What do you have,
Yeah.
like big black wheels on it or something, or you got like some sort of...
Yeah, it had these steel rims that were painted white
Oh,
and with big tires. So it didn't look bad, but it always just looked kind of like, I don't know. I didn't get it. And so a couple of years ago, I plastid-dipped the wheels just to try it out, just to see if I liked them black, and I never took it off. So
yeah. I think
black.
black is the way to go with a white car.
yeah, for sure.
Very nice.
cool.
Were any of your vehicles manual by any chance?
No.
Living the auto life.
Yeah, so my dad had an old Toyota pickup truck, like the really tiny ones, and this is I don't know, early 80s or something. And it was manual, and when it got time for me to learn how to drive, that thing just literally fell apart with rust. And so he got a Caravan, and my mom already had a Caravan at the time. And so we didn't have a manual for me to learn on. And so I was like, well, I guess I just won't learn that. And then in college, I learned a little bit on a friend's Jeep and stuff. So I've done it, but it's not something I'm super good at. And so I've just never been motivated to buy one.
I guess we should ask the burning question now. The very first vehicle. I'm sure everybody's very excited. I'm sure you're gonna hit us with some amazing. By the way, there's no pressure. Nobody's first vehicle has been amazing. I don't think. And now that I think about it, I don't think anybody's vehicle was outstanding. So, what was the very first car that you owned?
I'm curious if I can maybe throw a loop here. What do you think it is?
Oh, well, can you give us some clues?
I'll give it away, I think.
Oh, okay. About what year was it?
It was an 80s.
It was an 80s car
vehicle.
Okay.
80s.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were okay. So
late
old?
Late 80s.
How old were you when you got it?
I got it in 1999.
And that would have made you how old?
That was right out of college. So that was
out of
I don't know, 20, 21, 22.
Late 80s.
80s.
You know, I'm thinking I'm gonna go with a Pontiac Firebird.
No.
It's interesting because you start off with the Focuses,
Yeah.
and then it's straight to like SUVs and the minivan.
Yeah.
It could go.
It could go
I'm gonna
either
say
way.
I'm gonna say I don't know.
And before the Firebird, I was thinking a Mustang, a Ford Mustang, but I'm gonna stick with the Firebird.
Okay. Well, it's neither one of those. Is a Chevy S10 Blazer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was a couple other people I think who've had S10s. I think they're pretty popular. Not as first cars, I don't think. Right, Jeff?
No.
Yeah,
No,
not as
first
first cars.
The Blazer's nice though.
Yeah.
It was cool. I mean, it was like, I couldn't put much money into one, and I found a guy that had this truck for sale, is all he said, and so I went out to look at it, and it was in pretty good shape, and I'm like, hey, this is like a 4x4. It's like enough room for me, I can, and so I bought it from him, drove around, drove fine, and then something started acting weird with the transmission, so I took it into this place. This is like maybe 3 weeks after I got it.
Oh, no.
And I took it into this place, and the guy's like, what happened to your transfer case? I was like, I don't know. I just bought this car. What do you mean? He was like, there's nothing in it.
There's nothing in the transfer case.
I said, hey, what do you mean? He was like, you don't have 4-wheel drive. You can't have 4-wheel drive. There's nothing in it. This is a 2-wheel drive vehicle. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it's fine. It worked fine. It drove fine. But the guy totally took me and was playing up how big of a deal it was. Oh, it's like full-time 4-wheel drive. It's basically just a truck, with the back. And
I wonder if he even knew.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Finding more out about that guy. Yeah.
What year was it? 80 something?
I don't really know the year specifically. I didn't remember a whole lot about it, to be honest. So I've been today looking up, trying to find the year range, and I think it was late 80s. It looked like early 80s to 1990 was when they had this body style, the 2-door version.
Oh, okay.
And,
that's a nice one. I kind of like those.
It's kind of boxier. Like they got really curvy after that, but this was the boxier one.
How much wood did you carry in that bad boy?
Actually, none, because at that time I didn't make anything. But I did sleep in the back of it. That was the cool thing about it. Yeah, you could sleep in the back of it.
How long did you end up having it for? Oh, sorry.
I actually didn't have it that long. I think I had it for maybe 9 months, maybe a little bit longer than that. I don't remember exactly, but it died, and getting it fixed was going to cost more than it was worth at that point, and that's when I went to the lease for the Focus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What color was the S10?
It was like a maroon, kind of burgundy color.
Nice. I'm just going to Google maroon S10.
Well, good luck, because I've been doing that, trying to find it today, and all of the ones that I've found are not all of them. Most of the ones I've found are the 4-door version or the later kind of curvy version.
Yeah.
And so the only pictures of the one that I had that I found are in like wrecks or in junkyards. So you can't find like a really good picture of any, but I found a couple. So what's kind of ironic though is before this, when I was getting out of high school, I never had a car in high school. I always drove my parents' vans. And I was saving money through my senior year. I'm going to buy a car to take to college. And I decided that I wanted a Carmen Ghia. I've always loved the Carmen Ghia. Nice. The shape, they're so cool. And so I was going to buy one of those, and I saved up all this money. And my dad one time said, yeah, your granddad used to have a Carmen Ghia. And I'm like, wait, what? And so I asked him about it. And he had sold, or it was gone long years before. But I asked him about it. I was like, yeah, what did you think about that? And he said it was fine. I really enjoyed driving it around. But one time I was sitting at a stoplight, and a tractor trailer was on my left, and it made a right turn and drove over the car and kept going because it didn't know I was there. And I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't get a Carmen Ghia. So I decided not to get one then. I took my money to college thinking I'll find one there. I'll buy one when I'm in Savannah at this art school. Surely there's a Carmen Ghia down there. And in the first 6 months, blew all my money on pizza and stuff and whatever, and didn't have money for a car anymore. So.
I mean, pizza, Carmen Ghia. I might make the same decision. Although I really love the Carmen Ghia. Who doesn't love
it's a cool
pizza?
car.
It is. Yeah.
Do you have any desire? Because your current cars are like the last little while has been SUVs and vans and stuff. Do you have any desire to get like a little sports car or something small like that?
I actually still want to get a Carmen Ghia, just for the sake of renovating it, like starting over. So several years back, I went through a little phase where I started buying Vespas, early 60s Italian Vespas, not the ones from the US, and stripped a couple of them down to bare metal, rebuilt them, painted them, did the whole thing. And so that was kind of practice for one of these days I'm going to get a Carmen Ghia and I'm going to do this to it, and I still have never gotten around to doing that. But I think if I ever do get a small car, it'll be something like that, something just for the sake of restoration, not really because I want to drive a small car around because I don't really want to.
Are you a coupe or convertible Carmen Ghia guy?
I don't know. Probably coupe.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really know. I think whatever I could get my hands on would probably be cool.
There's a yellow one for sale a few hours north of here for 8,500 Canadian.
Yeah, they're not too expensive.
69.
The problem is, you gotta really take a look at them.
See.
Especially, I wouldn't buy a Canadian one, by the way. If it's a Canadian car, the bottom of that thing is gonna be rusted out like you've never seen.
Well, that's the problem. You got to go south of the Mason-Dixon if you want to find one that's not. It's a unibody. If you want to find one that's not completely rusted out, you got to go south.
Yeah, and then you start the costs start going up.
Yeah,
it's a cool little car.
You should get it.
I probably will one of these days.
I'm looking forward to that.
I also would really like to get another Land Cruiser, but an older, like the FJ40s series, like the ones that looked like they were like Jeep ripoffs at the time. I'd love to get one of those and fully restore one of those too. But the cost is skyrocketing because everybody wants them right now.
Yeah, those are the really they kind of look like the old. Well, what about like an older? I guess you can go for the Defender now, right? If you're not using it as like a daily, maybe you can grab a Defender and just have some fun with that.
Yeah, you could. It's kind of weird the way the Defender market. It's odd that I know this, but I have a friend who actually imports Defenders, and the Defender market is kind of crazy because you can only import certain types into the U.S. and there's a bunch of people trying to just like go to Europe and go to the Middle East and just find them and bring them back and import them. And so there's a bunch of fake ones, and they're not fake, but there's like something about them, and I don't remember the details, that is illegal to bring in. So they're trying to smuggle them in and then get them titled, and it's this big crazy thing. So actually getting one into the country in a legit way is getting more and more expensive because of that. And so, so you kind of got to find one that's come in the right way and, pay the cost for it being here.
I really like the Land Cruiser that Adam Savage has. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, so that's a 40s series. I don't know exactly which one it is, but that's the style I'm talking about that I'd like to redo.
That one's so cool.
Yeah, very cool.
And he's got a tent on the roof.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can sleep on the roof. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. I need to take a look at that.
It's pretty interesting.
The FJ40 would be fun too, though. I'm looking at them now. There actually is one in for sale in Ontario here, but the guy doesn't have a price up, so he probably wants too much.
Probably.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, what it's like. Do you have any special memories of the S10, or was the only memory that you have when you figured out it wasn't really all-wheel drive?
I mean, I really didn't have it that long, so I didn't have a lot of memories in it. The big thing I remember about it was that I could sleep in the back. The girl I was dating at the time lived a couple hours away, and so I would drive up on the weekends to see her. And at the end of the night, I'd be like, "All right, later." And I didn't know anybody else in town, so I'd go sleep in my van or in my back,
in her driveway.
Yeah, in the parking lot of the apartment complex. I'd just be like, "I'm gonna go sleep in the car."
Oh wow.
But I didn't have it long enough to take it on adventures or do anything fun with it. So,
What if you can go back and pick a car? I guess you still have a couple of them, but if you can go back and pick another one that you previously owned to own again, which one would it be?
ooh, probably the Xterra. I didn't have any complaints with that thing. It was cool. It was fun to drive. It was comfortable. It was pretty quiet for what it was. Yeah.
Score one for Nissan.
Yeah. It's like the only Nissan I have any interest in at all, but hey,
Burn. Take that, Nissan.
Well, I mean, I'm never going to buy a Skyline, right? So,
well, why not?
well, I don't know.
Are you into those kind of cars, or are you just more of the practical sort of side of things?
No, I'm definitely more of a practical. Yeah, I've never had a big interest in fast things or, fancy things. I'm pretty practical.
That's a shame.
No Lamborghinis coming up.
No, I mean, if I think through the scenario to if I had enough money and enough free time to buy that kind of car, then there's probably other stuff I should be doing.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
As much as I hate it, that's a good point.
Now with the Vespas, have you owned any motorcycles?
The only motorcycle I've owned I still have is in pieces. So I was restoring a Vespa, and it was a 63 Allstate, which was the one that got sold at Sears, oddly enough. Really? I was restoring that. I was starting to, and this guy I know in Florida, he's like a collector of all sorts of just random. He has a warehouse full of everything. Got a sailboat and a Mustang and a bunch of motorcycles, and they're all in pieces. And so he, for a while, collected this motorcycle called the Harley Hummer. Have you ever heard of this?
The Harley Hummer.
It's kind of a cool story. I'll make it quick. After World War II, there was some motorcycle manufacturer in Germany, after the Allies won, they took all of the manufacturing from all of the other countries and took the designs and distributed them to the Allied countries. So, all of not all of the vehicles, but a lot of the vehicles, motorcycles, things like that. So Harley Davidson got this one motorcycle design, and it's a two-stroke, and I believe it's the only two-stroke Harley's ever sold. So it's a little tiny, dirt track racer looking, kind of mountain bike sized two-stroke motorcycle. It's really small, and they made it from, I want to say maybe 1949 to 1960 something. And it changed names. It got called a Scout and a few different things. But anyway, so he had a warehouse of these things, probably 30 or 40 of them in different states. And he was like, I've never done a Vespa before. Can I have that thing? I said, yeah, sure, man. Let's trade up. So I gave him the Vespa. He gave me a pile of parts that will turn into a motorcycle someday. And I spent maybe a year tracking down other parts, and I had to buy a gas tank from someplace, and I got a fender from someplace, and got new tires, and I got all these little things, but I don't have everything I need to actually make it run. And so it's been in parts since that was probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. It's been in parts. So, and it's here, and it's on my list to do. I've got to I've got to finish a costume that I'm working on that I'm going to make a full-size R2-D2, and I think the
nice.
motorcycle is after that. So,
Man, just those two things. I would like your life for a few minutes.
Those are fun projects for sure.
That's a cool looking bike too.
It is, yeah.
Kind of like a cafe racer.
yeah. I think that's why I like it. Although, I won't ride it. I have no interest in riding a motorcycle.
Are they super valuable? I imagine they should be.
I think if it was complete and restored, it might be worth a little bit. But really, I don't think anybody wants a two-stroke of that kind of a two-stroke bike. So, it's like top speed of like 35 miles an hour.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I don't think they're in demand enough to be worth anything.
No, what color would you go with for that bike?
That's a good question. I've not really ever thought about that.
Looking through, the black looks nice, like almost a matte black.
I think I would probably go with like the matte black with like a gloss, like some graphics on it that were in gloss black, something like that was really subtle. Yeah, I don't know. It's been 10 years since I've even thought about what's next on that bike. So I would really have to take inventory and figure out what else I have to get and stuff.
There's
I'm looking forward to that.
There's a project Harley Hummer on eBay for $1,300, and it's like nothing but like a frame and a motor.
Interesting.
And that's pretty much what mine is. I mean, I have the wheels and I bought that gas tank, but yeah, there's a bunch missing to it. And the parts are, they're tedious to find because you got to find the right year, and it has to be in working order, and there's just not that many of them, and so
it's gonna be awesome when it's done, though.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that in the videos.
And then I'll be coming to you in 2025.
You heard it here first, folks. And on that note, we really like to thank you for joining us. That was a whole lot of fun. A lot of fun projects on the go. And if people would like to check it out or check them out, it's I guess the website directs everybody to everything that you do. So I like to make stuff.com, and you can keep track of Bob and his projects and all that stuff. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem. Have yourself a good day, and we'll look forward to 2025.
Sounds good.
And that's going to be it for episode 7 of My First Car Podcast. Thank you so much, Bob. And Jeff, you've been pleasant as always.
Thank you, sir.
I want to point out to you guys that we have many, many ways in which you can reach us and interact with us. We can go to reddit.com/r/myfirstcarpodcast. Okay, we could do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, good.
Yep.
You can go to instagram.com/myfirstcarpodcast. I think I nailed that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. You can go to at First Car Podcast on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I almost messed that one up, but then I got it. And I nailed that one. And then on YouTube, just search My First Car Podcast, I guess. I don't think we have a custom URL.
Yeah,
on YouTube.
you can go to youtube.com/myfirstcarpodcast.
Perfect. There you go. Nailed it. And then the last, but definitely not least, Patreon. The Patreon, patreon.com/myfirstcarpodcast. And we have some people to thank.
Yeah, let's give a personal shout out. This is a radio station.
That was Radio Jeff. Personal shout out.
Welcome to our awesome patrons who are active in the Discord and chatting, and they got some cool things going on, like some cool salt flat stuff and work on their cars that we talked about.
Yeah, that's right. If we always fail to mention that, but if you do become a patron, you have access to our Discord at the what tier is that? The $5.
It's anything over I think $5.
Okay, yeah. So you can basically interact with us directly, and talk about there's car stuff, obviously, and just general chatting and stuff. There's been some cool pictures posted, especially of some vehicles that some people might want to buy and stuff, and
some trucks.
Yeah, trucks. Trucks.
Yeah, so we want to thank Matt. Of course, Matt's been here forever.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't want to mess up anyone's names, but Incognito.
Incognito, indeed.
Yeah. Again, been here forever.
Mm-hmm.
And Elmo Pele?
Yes,
Elmo
is awesome. Elmo, first of all,
seriously,
he tweets us all the time. Like, the interaction with Elmo is fantastic. Great guy.
Big shout out to you.
As all our other patrons as well. We really appreciate the support. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully we'll be a little more consistent. I apologize. I don't think I did this at the top of the show, but I apologize for the delay. It was totally my fault. You know, I went on vacation and I got back and I hurt my back for like a week. So it wasn't in a good place. Trust me. I actually had to go, if you don't know, to the emergency room to get it sorted because how much pain I was in. I could barely move. So recording a podcast would not have been fun. It would have been me complaining the whole time.
Yeah.
Much like most of our podcasts. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And we will see you in the next one. And it's going to be even better than the last.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of them are. Because we just get better with age.
Like a fine wine.
Like fine wines.
Mm-hmm.
Fine wines and fine automobiles.
That's the new catchphrase.
That's our thing now. My First Car Podcast. Fine wines, fine automobiles, and long endings. Goodbye.
Goodbye.